Johnny, I don't know where you start, because the season was all so good up to the Joe Mac final. A hard loss in the Joe Mac final, but then a defeat like that, I don't know what the reaction can be to you.
Well, sure, look at it. It was. Look at it. We're disappointed after the Joe McDonagh final. Less so today. Look at. We know there was a gap there between the Division 2 teams. We say Offaly and part of it, and we say the Division teams like Tipperary. But Tipperary coming out there today after a defeat by Waterford, sting in the tail. We knew that was going to happen, and we're down a number of players. It's no excuse. Like we certainly are down key players, and that's where your panel is tested. We've more injuries after today, but look, that's the reality of it, and that's where we have to get to close the gap.
You mentioned about injuries. Owen Cahill, obviously the one over on the far side, and it looks like quite a bad hamstring. But
Owen's pulling his hamstring quite bad there. I don't know how bad it is. Paddy Clancy went off there as well with a rib cage injury, and on top of that, we'd lost David Nally last week to a shattered hand. All of these things add up. But look, it's about learning and moving on. I've said it before. I think for these teams for the gap to close between the Division 1 teams and the Division 2 teams of Nudge, the league has to be looked at. It's not days like today. Today isn't the day to make any assessment of how good teams are, where they should be. It needs to go back to the league early on in the year, look at the structures. You can't have this yo-yo effect. If they want to develop hurling in counties, if they want a more meaningful or broader range of counties competing, they really have to open their eyes and look at that league. Yo-yo effect is not going to help anyone. 2 years, we got beaten today well, but look, so be it. Next year, wouldn't it be better to play against next year? See, can we close that gap? If it's a 20-point gap, let's bring it back to 10. But you won't do it every 2 years. It's not going to happen unless we get consistent games against the top teams.
We met after the league final, Johnny, and you mentioned about the cramping of both the league and the Joe McDonagh. Is the Joe McDonagh too cramped on top, and is there too much, I suppose, emphasis on the two Joe McDonagh teams qualifying for the All-Ireland series?
Look, the Joe McDonagh final is the All-Ireland for that level, okay? And today was sort of it's a bonus to play the likes of Tipperary this time of the year, even though it mightn't appear so after that result. It is. It's like there was no turnaround between the league and Joe McDonagh. For these teams that are really like brilliant, Carlow won, fair play to them, but there was no gap between the league final and we say the start of the Joe McDonagh Cup. You're asking the counties that are struggling with numbers to play the most games in the tightest window. Not on, and it's not fair, and it needs to be looked at. And we're all intelligent people there. There's lots of guys around that have opinions on how this structure could be. Let's listen to the people that are on the ground that see this day in, day out, and maybe we can improve it that way.
So, from your own point of view, do you accept that the Joe McDonagh winners and runners-up, do they need to qualify into the All-Ireland? Do they need to play the All-Ireland, or would you rather the Joe McDonagh be more stretched out, that you have a proper, detailed season?
Well, my own personal opinion is that the provincials aren't working. The provincials don't work straight up. If you look at the provincial campaign, there's good counties there that are gone out of it, like top level teams. Yes, because the Munster Hurling Championship is such it's such a important competition in the GAA's calendar to keep that. But the truth is, it's not working. Leinster is a combination of so many teams. They'd be better served if they kept their provincial campaign as a league. But when it comes to All-Ireland Championships, pick the best 10 teams or 8 teams to go into that and an open draw and go that way.
Can I finally ask you about the development, Johnny? Because obviously the minors last year went on a massive spree in All-Ireland Under 20 final last week. You've got players coming through as well. You were undefeated in the league, winning the league final, undefeated in the Joe McDonagh until you got to the final itself. Yeah. It's been a massive year from an Offaly hurling point of view.
There's certainly progression, there's no doubt about it. There's progression, but as I said, the progression is hindered by the amount of players that we have in Offaly in these counties. Like Westmeath playing from a small base, Offaly maybe 8-9 senior clubs trying to compete with the likes of Tipperary who would have maybe 20 or 25 players. That's the reality, that's population based, that's what you've got. But to be fair, it's been progress. There's more to do, and we'll continue to try and progress this to another level.
You're almost like the animal put out for prey there in a weird way. Tipperary, the 3-week off, they want a reaction where you're only coming off an emotional enough defeat only a week ago.
That's right. But look, we didn't see it that way. We were going down here today to try and put our best foot forward. But the reality is the gap is there. But keep coming back to this. There's no way the counties will close the gap themselves. Yes, we have a good under 20 team coming on the back of a minor, but they're so young in comparison. There's so many things to get right, and there's no guarantee that a quality minor team or a quality under 20 team will make good seniors. I'm in Galway, man. I've seen this for years. So we've got brilliant minor teams. And we're still struggling to make inroads in All-Ireland senior titles.
I know there's a bit of a flurry at the end, but prior to that, particularly in that third quarter and second half, they really fought Almarie there, your side. You must be so proud of them.
Absolutely, it's all them inside. There isn't a man in there that I wouldn't stand behind every single day of the week. They're good kids, they're good men, they're trying so hard. I'll put it this way: the injuries, the way this GAA season has gone, and the way preparation is what's expected of GAA players now, both codes, but obviously a hurling. You see the effort they put in. You see the injuries they get. I mean, the injuries some of these guys are getting now is off the charts. One time you get a broken bone, you'll be out back in 6 weeks. These are really heavy-duty injuries, really tearing hamstrings, doing everything. And they're doing everything right by, S&C, but cruciate ligaments, shattered hands, really badly torn ligaments. They're not getting enough credit for what they're doing. Like the players in every county are putting in such an effort. It's a brilliant game, and long may it continue.
You touched on some of the underage success that you've had, but there's some quality scores from a couple of those players as well out there.
Actually, look at, I don't know what we got, 318 or whatever. I thought we conceded 3-7 something. And there was actually a run of time there after the second half, and we had 4 or 5 bad wides at the time. So look, yeah, we'll take the positives. We've got some great scores, but look, we're on a no lose and maybe pull up a little bit. But having said that, we're on the right track and we hope to continue.
Johnny, it's a long way to January now, but what would you hope for now in 2024?
I'd hope to close the gap anyway, yeah. But looking more the same. Just hopefully bring in some of the under 20 squad onto the senior panel, increase the number of players that we have on the senior panel, because we were down to about 24, 25 guys there for the last 3 weeks because of injuries and other issues. But look, yeah, greater number of players getting in, and obviously to go back to the clubs now, that's the key thing. And I think the split season has been great. Go back to the clubs, get some time in the club campaign, but we do need to look at how these guys are monitor these guys over the next 6 months, and hopefully when they come back then in January that we haven't too far to catch up with compared to what we had last year.
Does the nature of the defeat, does that do a bit of damage, or does it give you kind of, I suppose, learnings or things?
Learnings, yeah. Like the nature of the defeat is, you can look. Tipperary. Look, they're in the top 3 or 4 teams in the country. So you could be really despondent by that defeat. Before we came in here at all, we knew we were on a high to nothing there. But it is to take the positives, and not even that, not to admire Tipperary, but to take the learnings from it. Look at how they play the game. Look at how they drift into spaces really quick. We lost a couple of those players numerous occasions just by complete nothing else, only just watching the ball for that bit long instead of watching them tracking our men.
So, Johnny,
that's it, boys.
Cheers for that.
Okay.
Thanks very much. Well done,